All right, hey everyone, it's March 30th, the year 2017, and my wife has informed me of an important piece of information regarding Gary Hunt. He ran a website called Outpost-of-Freedom, and on that website he would post Casey Massey letters from jail. I know my wife has written to him, and he's a gentleman that went and protected the border. And then he also uploaded all of the Skylar Barbeau letters. And he had actually been helping me locate some of Skylar Barbeau's letters, and he has been very helpful. I've never talked to him on the phone, but we've communicated in emails, and he was always incredibly helpful when it came to finding information regarding Skylar Barbeau. And he's one of the few who devoted a section of their website to exposing what happened to Skylar Barbeau, and he had the videos, I believe, of where they came out and stormtrooped the Ank Ranch. And so Gary Hunt did an incredible job at documenting all of the unconstitutional and illegal actions of the government when it came to Skylar Barbeau, and I was very appreciative of that. So my wife sends me this right here, and I'll just read it. Hopefully you guys can see it. Let me make the font just a little bit bigger. All right, here we go. It's just another example of the government coming and getting the patriots and throwing them in prison. Unlawful detention. If you don't go along with what they say, they throw you in jail, torture you, probably throw you in a CMU prison, and you'll never be heard of again. And all of your property fades away, and they'll come and auction it off just like they did Ed and Elaine Brown. Who knows what's going to happen, but it's absolutely horrific. But this just came in from, I think, Deb Jordan, and my wife says the other lady goes by Sergeant Moe, and she's also been very outspoken for Skylar. So I think this is important to know about when our fellow patriots get absconded by the government, or kidnapped or terrorized or whatever word you want to use. But here goes. Just in, journalist Gary Hunt has been arrested and is being held in Sacramento, California, facing extradition to Portland, Oregon, charged with contempt of Judge Anna Brown's order to take down all material pertaining to Malhuer Refuge Informants, a charge of aiding and abetting defendants during the occupation of the Malhuer Refuge may be forthcoming. As of his arrest, California had no agreement with Oregon to extradite him. California had no agreement with Oregon to they're just breaking the law left and right. It's absolutely lawless what the government is doing. After writing a series of articles, he wrote exposing the names of the informants using the occupation of Mr. Hunt. Let me read that again. After writing a series of articles, he wrote exposing the names of the informants he used during the occupation. Mr. Hunt was ordered to take the material down from his website and refused. That refusal resulted in a warrant for arrest, and it appears that warrant has now been served. Gary Hunt is a long-standing journalist who reported on both Ruby Ridge and Waco and was a presence at both tragedies. Gary received a call giving him 1 hour to turn himself in, which he did peacefully this afternoon, Pacific time. A family associate gave me this statement. Gary Hunt of Outpost-of-Freedom has been arrested. There are no details as of yet, but it is presumed it is in regards to the contempt of court charge related to his disclosure of the identities of the federal informants involved in the occupation at Malhuer NWLR in Oregon last year. Please share and spread the word. Gary is a journalist. This is a violation of the First Amendment protected right of speech, protected right of free speech, and freedom of the press. Gary has asked that everyone read this article for clarity. Gary Hunt, Outpost of Freedom, March the 3rd, 2017, coincidental to the presumed authority of Judge Brown's assumption that she could order me to answer by this date. The government has persistently suggested that I have aided and abetted the defendants by exposing informants that were paid by the government to spy on the occupiers of the Malhuer National Wildlife Refuge during January 2016. That is only one of the elements that needs to exist before the court can find me in contempt of court for non-compliance with the order to remove all prohibited material from my website and any other website. The other elements include whether I am subject to the court's protective order, and if so, do I fall within the jurisdiction of the court. Currently, the court has no outstanding order that I appear, and show cause why I should not be held in contempt of court. Well, as explained in Freedom of the Press number 3, contemptuous postings, aiding and abetting has a legal definition. That definition can be found in case law as well as legal dictionaries such as Black's Law Dictionary 5th edition, which states, help, assist, or facilitate the commission of a crime, promote the accomplishment thereof, help in advancing or bringing it about, or encourage, counsel, or incite as to its commission. The case law cited by the government, shysters, also includes criminal activity as a necessary element. One of the reasons for the Supreme Court decision in New York Times Company versus United States Pentagon Papers was that there was no crime resulting from the disclosure of the classified documents. The court then upheld in rather strong terms the right, even the responsibility of the press to publish such information. Key to that decision was an absence of aiding and abetting. Since though the exposure of information was in good faith and brought to light some misdeeds of the government, the publication of that material was not criminal, nor did it lead to a criminal act. The person, Daniel Ellsberg, who violated his signed agreement not to disclose the information, committed the only criminal act. The New York Times aided and abetted no one. See Freedom of the Press number 9, prior restraint. In the court's order, ECF number 1691 of January 11, 2017, Judge Brown states, on this record, therefore, the court concludes the government has sufficiently demonstrated that Hunt has aided and abetted the dissemination of materials covered by the protective order, and therefore the court grants in part the government's motion number 1680 to enforce protective order as follows. Using her judicial discretion, see Freedom of the Press number 7, Judicial Discretion and Tyranny, she has determined that there is no party that I aided, since that party is unnamed. She has also made the dissemination of materials a criminal act, though I, similar to the New York Times, am not subject to the protective order. The government has not indicated whom I may have aided and abetted, nor have they indicated just what criminal act resulted from my publication of the prohibited material. So let's look and see just who might have been aided by what I have disclosed. There can be little doubt that the defendants in the Ammon Bundy et al. Group 2 trial, currently being held in Portland, Oregon, have benefited as a consequence of what I have published. They have subpoenaed, to the best of my knowledge, Will Coleman and Alan Varner to testify. So they have been aided, though not abetted, by my articles. Since the exposure in Group 1 trial of Mark McConnell as an informant paid by the government, the voluntary act of Terry Linnell, and the exposure of Fabio Minoggio may all have played a role in the verdict, there can be little doubt that identities of the informants may provide exculpatory testimony to the benefit of the defendants. However, in that trial, the government shysters and the judge determined that disclosure of the informants or even unredacted informant reports, the reports were heavily redacted and gave no indication of the identity of the informants, would not be necessary, and as there was no exculpatory purpose in releasing that information. The verdict clearly disputes the assertion. Further, in the Group 1 trial, the defense was not allowed to mention the 6 informants that never visited the MNWR. They were only, during the discussion prior to the testimony of Minoggio, allowed to mention that there were 9 informants who had visited the MNWR. Now, in the Group 2 trial, the government has demonstrated some integrity clearly missing in the Group 1 trial. The government has admitted that there were 15 informants, and that some of the informants were authorized to conduct criminal activity during their paid spying infiltration of the MNWR occupation. The law requires this disclosure if there is exculpatory information, so the Justice Department has abided by the law, perhaps due to my exposing of the informants. Simply put, they have been aided, though not abetted, by my articles. I must mention another group of people that have been aided by my writings. This group is the primary target of those efforts and the exposures that have come to light. As I have stated for over 20 years, I will write about the misdeeds of government. The government putting spies in our midst is, without a doubt, a misdeed of government. It is tantamount to the servant spying on the master, when that master's intention is to hold the servant government accountable to the contract, Constitution. The servant is subject to scrutiny to determine the extent of his misdeeds. So too is the government, as they have clearly demonstrated by being a bit more forthright in the Group 2 trial. My intent to aid was directed at the people, my reading audience. The effect, however, did aid the defense as well as the prosecution. However, if there was any abetting, it would be more realistically described as unabetting. if the government was acting criminally along with the judge in hiding exculpatory evidence. Hence, they have been unabated in their criminal activity by exposing in the Group 2 trial what should have been exposed in the Group 1 trial. Okay, that is the information that Gary Hunt would like us to know about. I'm going to try to find his picture so you can see a picture of him. Outpost-of-Freedom blog. Let's go to images. I think that's him right there. So that's a picture of Gary Hunt, and I believe that's him. And looks like a good old country boy trying to do the right thing. And yet the tyrannical government, the judges who have sworn a loyalty to foreign entities that are raping and pillaging the American people, another good man has been put in prison. I pray we keep up with this story. We write to him. I could say a lot of other things, but I'll keep my mouth shut right now and just say that just be aware of what's going on. Be aware that the government is throwing our brothers and sisters in the Lord, our brothers and sisters in this country, they are throwing them in prison without any valid reason. And it's going on all over the country. And who knows when it's your time or my time. And I'll just say this. When your time comes or my time comes, have thought about it previously what your actions will be. Don't be thinking about what you're going to do when you're at the point where it happens. Think about it already. Already understand exactly your plan of action. God bless.